What's up, guys? Coach Brandon here from Mindset Monday. And this week, we're going to be talking about the one thing that everyone professes to want, but can't seem to handle when it comes their way. I'm talking about change. And now, this isn't something new. This has been going on for all of human history. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus actually said that the only thing that's constant in life is change. Now, what I want to talk about is why we profess to want to change and why we're so resistant to it when it comes. Now, change in and of itself is neither good or bad, but the reaction of those circumstances that you take or that the impact that they may have in your life could be bad. So, a lot of people look at change in a very positive way when they feel they take action over it, but a very negative way when it's something that's almost happening to them. But in reality, we have responsibility in some way for all the actions that take place in our life. So, there's really no differentiation between what's happening for you, the things that you feel you've chosen to do, and what's happening to you. And I'm going to distinguish between the two as we go forward, right? But generally, people would consider things change to be positive or negative, right? So we'll lump positive change here and negative change here. Positive change could be winning the lottery, negative change could be breaking your leg. But the thing is, we don't really know at the moment whether a change is going to have a net positive or net negative. In the example I just gave, many people who win the lottery end up broke and even dead not that long afterwards. But on the other hand, people that break their leg may, meet the love of their life in the hospital. They may fall in love with working out as they rehab that leg. So we can't really know. That's the whole thing. People obsess about what's going to happen when they make a change. Is it the right decision? What are the potential events that could cascade in either direction? But the reality is, although we have that decision to make to set things in motion, we don't really know what's going to transpire afterwards. The other thing is that it's very rare that we're making a truly authentic decision to change. A lot of times we're changing because we feel forced to, or because we feel that there's an outside influence acting on us, right? And we might not even be aware of it. Say that you want to, lose weight or get in shape, but in reality it's your mother your whole life has been kind of on you to be a certain weight or look a certain way or something like that. So you're not even acting out a change for your own good, it's somebody else's story. The other thing with change is that we see change somehow as permanent, right? We see everything we do as having this permanence, so it carries this tremendous amount of weight to it. And often it's that weight that prevents us from actually acting. So we talk a lot about, fight or flight responses, but freeze is actually much more common for people when they're making longer term decisions that aren't under stress, right? So they'll go years and stay in a bad job or a bad relationship because they're afraid of the unknown, right? And that's what fear of change really is. It's fear of the unknown. The reality is, though, any change necessitates going into the unknown. You really can't predict fully exactly what's going to happen after you initiate the sequence. And so it's often best to consider all angles, but at the same time, understand that you're never going to be able to control all variables. You have to ask yourself, what are the worst consequences of taking this risk or changing things for yourself? And then on the other hand, what are the worst consequences for not taking this risk, right? So for example, for myself, when I decided to open a gym during the pandemic, which is on all accounts a terrible idea, I had to ask myself, was this risk that I was taking worth it? In the sense that, what were the alternatives? Was I just going to sit inside and, try to collect EDD and not work for 2 years? Or was I going to take a risk on myself, knowing the information that I had, and take a bet on myself? Some people would have to decide for themselves what that decision is. But the point is, had I really considered rationally all the outcomes, I never would have known how successful it would have turned out to be. I would have talked myself out easily. So it's very important to trust that no matter what action you take, there's going to be unknowns. Mistakes will be made, but your reaction to them is very important. And so that's the other thing to think about with change. Whether you invite change upon yourself by taking action or not, change will find you. Things will change around you. And the way that I look at it and we coach our clients is you might as well be the author of your own change, right? Even if you make a huge mistake and screw everything up, which probably isn't going to happen, at least you took control and took initiative. And if you are able to process and learn from that, you won't make those same mistakes and you've actually grown because of it. And so, yes, change is scary, but I would say that not changing and allowing things to happen to you, which is a choice in and of itself not to act, is a worse place to be because it's very passive and it allows others to determine your life and the things that come out for you. So, when you're approaching change or you have a big decision to make, I would urge you to think about not, what could go wrong, but what are the consequences of not acting in this situation? What is the opportunity cost of not taking this action? I've struggled with, that freeze mentality in a lot of situations in my own life, and it's something I continue to work on. But what I put into practice now is, one, you have to have confidence in yourself. You have to know that no matter what happens, you're going to be okay. I talk a lot to clients about the Stockdale Paradox, which is from, this idea that you may not get it right this time or the 10th time or the 20th time, but you have to have faith that eventually you're going to win in the end, right? So it's you don't tie your self worth to that decision or that change being successful, but ultimately, however many steps it takes, you're going to succeed. And that's what allows you to get up and keep moving when change occurs in a way that you didn't necessarily predict. Now, no matter how well thought out the changes you try to enact, they're always going to go in a way that's different than you intended. But that's the beauty of it. A lot of things that end up being a huge part of your life are going to come from moments that weren't intended. And so that's the same thing here. So, perhaps you went out to try to lose 20 pounds to get in shape for your wedding, and you found out that jujitsu was the thing that was missing from your life because you just went there to get in shape, and now it's something you do 4 or 5 days a week. Unintended consequence, but the reason you're there is you took that action, you initiated that change. And so the one thing to really counsel yourself on when you feel frozen about a decision is, what is the opportunity cost of not making the decision? Are you going to stay in the same place? And if you've evaluated rationally, you've looked at the pros and cons and it's coming out pretty even, you don't feel either way, ask yourself, 5 years from now, if you don't make this decision, what would you tell yourself? What would you look back on, right? And my guess is often that you'd be more ashamed, or you would feel regret, not shame necessarily, but regret over the inaction, right? The risk taking, because you've been okay up to this point in your life, going through different trials and tribulations and things that have come up. So the things you set in front of you now, I'm sure you'll be okay and be able to navigate and continue to grow from. And so this fear of change is completely natural because change brings risk and risk is scary. But at the same time, being able to master that risk and seek change in an appropriate manner, right? You don't want chaos in your life constantly changing everything, but seeking big, meaningful change, you'll be able to feel more in control of at least the direction that you're heading. And your reaction to the events that you cause by initiating change will help you grow as you move forward. So yes, change is scary. Yes, change is chaotic, but you have two choices. You can either be the initiator of change or allow it to come to you and be passive. And in that case, you're really taking change from other people. And so, since you are the author of your life and you really only get one shot, it's most important that you take hold of that change and take initiative there. So, if you have any questions about this, this is one of the core mentoring principles we include with our coaching. We really try to get our clients to buy into the idea that they are authoring their own life, that they are initiating change. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you drop a comment below this video. Myself or the other coaches will be happy to answer it and help you on your journey as well. Please keep staying tuned in, and I'll share more information next week.